Eli had learned to disappear in the crowded streets of Neoterra. The city was alive with neon lights and the hum of anti-gravity vehicles, but it was no place for someone like him. A homeless teen, small, quick, and always hungry. He moved like a shadow, keeping to alleyways and corners, always watching the faces around him. Most people ignored him, which suited him fine. Attention was dangerous. That night, the rain fell in sheets, making the streets slippery and dangerous. Eli pulled his thin jacket tighter around himself and hunched under a broken sign to stay dry. His stomach growled. He hadn't eaten since morning, and even a single morsel could be worth taking a risk. He scanned the alley for anything edible, anything at all, but it was empty. A soft sound caught his attention, almost drowned by the noise of the city. It was a quiet whimper, something that didn't belong in the chaos around him. Eli froze. His instincts told him to keep moving. Most times, trouble followed the sounds of pain in Neoterra, but something about this sound was different. It was small, fragile, human, or almost human. He followed the noise, careful not to make a sound. Around the corner, he found her. She was a young alien girl, no more than 14, lying on the wet pavement. Her skin glowed faintly, a soft silver blue that pulsed like a heartbeat. Her eyes were closed and her face was pale. Blood ran down one arm from a scrape and her breathing was shallow. She was blind. Eli's heart skipped. He had seen death before in these alleys, but he had never seen someone so small and helpless. Someone who didn't belong here at all. He knelt beside her. "Hey," he whispered. "You okay?" The girl stirred. I can't see," she said in a soft voice, almost musical, with a tone that made Eli tense. She wasn't scared. That surprised him. "Can you walk?" he asked, glancing around. The alley was quiet, but he knew quiet never lasted long in Neoterra. "No," she said, shaking her head. "I need healer." Eli's stomach tightened. A healer was a rare thing. The city had clinics, of course, but real healers, the kind who could fix someone like her. They were expensive and hidden, often in places humans like him would never dare. And even finding one meant crossing parts of the city controlled by gangs or worse. He made a quick decision. He lifted her into his arms. She was lighter than he expected, but her small body was fragile. Her head rested on his shoulder, and he felt the warmth of her skin through the soaked jacket. He glanced back at the darkened streets. If anyone saw him carrying a glowing alien girl, they would assume he was either stealing her or worse. He moved fast, keeping to shadows, avoiding the main roads. Every step was careful, every turn calculated. He had lived this way long enough to know which corners were dangerous. They passed shuttered shops, abandoned hover cars, and the occasional wandering alien mercenary who barely glanced at them before moving on. The girl's breathing was uneven. You're strong," she said quietly. "Thank you." Eli smiled, though his teeth chattered from the cold. "Don't thank me yet. We're not safe." Hours passed as they navigated the city. Eli had memorized certain paths, hidden routes that led through forgotten tunnels and half-collapsed buildings. They were dangerous, sure, but safer than walking the streets above. The city hummed with life in strange alien colors. Holographic ads flickered in the rain, showing creatures and technologies Eli had never seen. Despite the danger, Eli couldn't help but notice her fascination. She listened to the sounds, touched the textures of walls and signs, memorizing everything she could. "You know this city?" he asked after a while. "Some," she admitted. "I've been..." "Places," Eli frowned. There was something odd about her. Most kids wouldn't have survived the city alone, especially a blind alien girl. She had a presence, a confidence that didn't match her vulnerability. Finally, Eli reached the healer's district, a hidden quarter behind layers of abandoned factories. The smell of herbs and chemicals filled the air as he approached a small glowing doorway marked with ancient symbols. He knocked cautiously. A gruff voice answered. "Who's there?" "Eli," he said quickly. "Please, healer." "Girl sick, blind." The door opened slowly. A short, sturdy alien healer appeared, examining Lyra with careful eyes. "She's in bad shape," the healer said. "Come inside." Inside, the air was warm and filled with the scent of healing herbs. Eli set Lyra down gently on a cot, careful not to hurt her further. The healer examined her wounds and murmured words Eli didn't understand. Light pulsed faintly from her skin, reacting to the healer's touch. "You're lucky she found you," the healer said, looking at Eli. "Most people would have ignored her, or worse." Eli shrugged. I couldn't leave her there. Not like that. The girl stirred again, weakly opening her eyes. You carried me, she said softly. Thank you. Eli felt a strange warmth at her words. He had never been thanked for anything in his life. Just try to get better, he said, though he wasn't sure how she would. The healer worked through the night, stabilizing her injuries and cleansing the cuts. Eli stayed beside her, watching as she rested, listening to the strange whispers of the city outside. It was quiet for the first time that night, and Eli allowed himself to breathe. But the calm did not last. Just as dawn approached, the door creaked open, and a group of alien figures stepped inside. Eli froze. They were not ordinary citizens. They were imposing, armored, and moving with purpose. Lyra, one of them said in a deep voice, "Come with us." Eli's heart pounded. He had no idea who these people were, but instinct told him they were dangerous. "No," he said firmly, stepping in front of her. "She stays here." The leader raised an eyebrow. "A human protecting her?" he asked. Bold, Eli didn't answer. He tightened his fists, ready to defend her. Every instinct screamed that this was bigger than he could handle, but he couldn't leave her to them. Lyra stirred and touched Eli's face lightly. "It's okay," she whispered. "I trust him." That simple act surprised Eli. Even in the face of danger, she trusted him, and he realized that this small blind alien girl who had seemed so fragile had more courage than he had ever seen in a human adult. The aliens hesitated, clearly not expecting resistance. The leader studied Eli for a long moment, then stepped back. "We'll be back," he said, voice low and dangerous. "No human can keep her safe for long." Eli's stomach churned, but he held his ground. "Try me," he said quietly. The aliens left, vanishing into the streets like shadows. Eli looked at Lyra, who was smiling faintly despite her exhaustion. You did that?" she asked. "I don't know," he admitted. "I just couldn't let them take you." Lyra nodded slowly. "You are brave," she said. "I think you will be needed. More than you know." Eli didn't understand what she meant, but he felt a strange sense of purpose rising inside him. For the first time in his life, he felt that he mattered, that his choices could make a difference in someone else's life. Outside, the city awoke to the morning rush. The neon lights reflected off the wet streets, making them look like rivers of color. Eli knew they weren't safe yet. Whoever those aliens were, they would return. But for now, Lyra was alive, and he had kept his promise. As they prepared for the next steps, Eli realized that his life had changed forever. He had carried her across the city, fought off dangerous aliens, and protected someone important. He had acted not because of fear, not for reward, but because it was the right thing to do. And in that moment, he felt something he had never felt before: hope. The journey was far from over. But Eli knew one thing clearly: he would not abandon Lyra. No matter the danger, no matter the odds, he would carry her through this city and beyond, because that was what humans did. They faced impossible odds, they survived, and they protected the ones who could not protect themselves. And as Lyra's soft breathing mixed with the hum of the city, Eli understood that this was only the beginning. Something bigger was coming, something that would test him in ways he could never imagine. But for now, he would rest, stay vigilant, and be ready. Because tomorrow the city would challenge them again, and he would meet it head-on. Eli woke to the faint hum of the city, the neon light still shimmering through the healer's windows. Lyra lay beside him on a small cot, her chest rising and falling slowly, the color in her skin brighter than the night before. He had stayed awake most of the night, listening to every sound outside, ready for trouble, but nothing had come. For a moment, the world seemed calm, almost ordinary. That calm shattered with the sound of the door sliding open. Eli jumped to his feet instinctively. A tall, imposing figure stepped into the room. His skin was a deep violet, marked with subtle lines of authority and age. His eyes were sharp, intelligent, and dangerous. Around him, several armored aliens lingered, their presence enough to make Eli feel like a small human mouse trapped in a lion's den. "Lyra," the figure said, his voice calm but carrying the weight of command. "I believe you have been moved without permission." Lyra stirred, raising her hand weakly to rest against Eli's arm. "It's okay," she said softly. "He saved me." The man's eyes flicked to Eli, and for the first time, Eli felt the full weight of alien scrutiny. "A human?" he asked. His tone wasn't accusatory, but it carried an unspoken challenge. "You carried my daughter across dangerous territory?" Eli straightened, swallowing the lump in his throat. Yes, he said firmly. She was hurt. I couldn't leave her alone? The man studied him carefully, his eyes narrowing and then softening slightly. You are brave, he said after a long pause. Most humans would run or turn away. You risked your life for her. Eli blinked. I didn't do it for bravery, I just couldn't leave her there. The alien man stepped closer, and Eli felt a quiet power in the way he moved, the way the room seemed to bend around him. I am Draxus, the man said finally, and you are speaking of my daughter Lyra. You have acted with courage, human. That is rare, very rare. Lyra looked at Eli with a small, proud smile. He's brave, she said simply, and kind. I trust him. Draxus's gaze shifted between them. I see why. Humans are unpredictable creatures. Some are weak. Some are cunning. Some are exceptional. You, Eli, may be exceptional. He paused, considering. You have survived where most would not. You have protected life in a world that has no mercy. That is a quality I respect. Eli wasn't sure what to say. Respect from a powerful alien was not something he had ever imagined receiving. He swallowed and kept his voice steady. I just did what felt right. Draxus nodded. That is often the measure of greatness, acting rightly without expectation of reward. Yet you have brought danger upon yourself by crossing the boundaries of this city. Others may not be so forgiving. Eli glanced at the healer. She'll be safe here? He asked. For now, Draxus said. But safety in this city is temporary. The streets do not forget, and the wrong people will notice you helped her. Eli's stomach tightened. I can handle it, he said quietly. He had survived on the streets long enough to know fear, but he also knew he could not back down when someone depended on him. Lyra reached out, touching his arm. I would not have made it without you, she said. And you do not need to be afraid. He understands bravery. You do too. Draxus studied them again, his expression unreadable. Then almost suddenly he smiled. Not a friendly smile, but a smile that acknowledged a challenge met. Very well, he said. Eli, you will not face punishment for your actions. But you will need guidance if you intend to remain in this city. The life you have lived is harsh and the streets are merciless. I can offer you protection and training if you choose. Eli's heart skipped. Protection from Draxus meant safety, yes, but it also meant stepping into a world he barely understood. A world of power, strategy, and alien politics. I don't know, he admitted. Do not answer yet, Draxus said. For now you rest. Tomorrow we will decide the next steps. But understand this, you have shown qualities I rarely see in humans. Courage, loyalty, and resourcefulness. You are not ordinary. The aliens left, closing the door behind them, and the healer returned to Lyra's side. Eli sank back onto the floor, exhausted, but also filled with a strange sense of pride. He had protected someone precious and against all odds, earned respect from one of the most dangerous beings in the city. The next morning, Draxus returned, this time accompanied by fewer guards but the same aura of authority. Eli met him in the healer's courtyard, a small space filled with plants and flowing water. The air was calm, the sunlight weak but warming the stone paths. Eli, Draxus began, I have considered your place in this world. You have proven yourself capable, and more importantly, you have shown loyalty to life. Loyalty is rare. Loyalty is valuable. You may remain here with Lyra under my protection, but your actions will have consequences. You will learn, you will adapt, and you will become more than a street survivor. Eli nodded slowly. I just want to help her, he said. And help her you shall, Draxus replied. But understand this. Helping her will mean stepping into my world. You will see things humans rarely witness. You will face challenges that may test every part of you, and you will be expected to think, act, and survive beyond your previous limits. Lyra stepped closer to Eli, touching his hand. I'm glad you're here, she said. You saved me when no one else could. That means everything. Eli looked down at her and felt a warmth that he had never felt before. I won't leave you, he said quietly. I'll do whatever I can to keep you safe. Draxus studied the two of them for a long time. Perhaps, he said finally, this human is not just lucky. Perhaps he is the kind of ally that can be trusted with more than life. I will watch and I will guide. But understand, the city does not forgive mistakes, and enemies of my family are many. Eli felt a strange thrill. He had survived the streets his entire life, facing gangs, mercenaries, and the hunger that never let go. But this was different. He was no longer just a survivor. He was part of a larger world, one that demanded courage, loyalty, and intelligence, and he felt ready. Days passed and Eli began learning the city from a new perspective. Draxus's agents taught him shortcuts, secret paths, and how to avoid threats. Eli moved through the streets with new confidence, his eyes open to dangers he had once overlooked. Every day he and Lyra trained together, her senses sharpened despite her blindness, and his understanding of strategy and survival grew. Lyra taught him patience and observation. Her way of navigating the city by sound, scent, and subtle vibrations impressed Eli, and he realized that courage alone was not enough. Intelligence and awareness were equally important. They grew close, sharing stories of their pasts, their dreams, and fears. Eli learned that Lyra had been raised in comfort, but had been forced to run after a political conflict threatened her safety. Despite her hardships, she carried herself with dignity and wit, often teasing Eli in ways that made him laugh. Despite the dangers surrounding them, one night, as they sat atop a high building overlooking the city, Eli asked, "Do you ever wish life was simpler?" Lyra shook her head, her glowing skin catching the light from the neon below. "No, simpler life would not have brought me to you," she said softly. "You are brave, human, and that matters more than anything." Eli felt a surge of pride. "And you're brave too," he said. "You survived on your own, even blind. I just helped a little." "You helped a lot," she corrected. "Without you, I wouldn't be here." Eli looked at the sprawling city, the bright lights, the endless dangers, and the shadows that moved below. He realized that he had changed. He was no longer just a homeless teen fighting to survive. He had a purpose. He had someone to protect. He had the respect of one of the most powerful beings in the city, and he knew the city had noticed him now. Whispers of the human who dared to carry Draxus's daughter had begun to spread. Some would see him as a hero, others as a threat, but Eli was ready. He had faced fear, hunger, and danger before, and he had survived. Now he would survive for more than himself. He would survive for Lyra. The journey ahead would be difficult. Enemies lurked, challenges awaited, and the streets of Neoterra were unforgiving. But Eli felt ready. With Lyra by his side, with courage in his heart, and with the lessons of the city guiding him, he would meet every challenge. For the first time in his life, Eli felt powerful, not because of strength or weapons, but because he had the courage to act, the intelligence to survive, and the heart to protect, and in the vast, dangerous city that might just be enough to change everything. As the two of them watched the city below, Eli knew one thing with certainty. Their story had only begun.